Hello and welcome to GillHB and Friends. And I'm really, really excited, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have Janet Henson
Mm.
back to talk to me. Janet and I first spoke episode 25, I think it was, when you were
Oh,
doing divorce
gosh.
coaching, which is maybe 4 or 5 years ago now.
Oh,
And
time goes.
doesn't it just? And the reason is you've changed really, you're giving up the divorce narcissistic type coaching. And I mean, the NLP in me says, who'd want to go to a narcissistic coach, if you know what I mean?
Yes, yes, true. I've often thought that way. Yeah,
It's
it
like,
could come out the wrong way. Yeah,
exactly, who wants to go to an alcoholic therapist? That's not
yeah.
going to work, is it? But, we happened to, I saw a post of yours and you were saying that you're saying goodbye and you were coming off Instagram, you were closing down this chapter of your life. And it really struck a chord with me because yours wasn't the first post. I'm seeing a lot of posts from people now on a regular basis. When I say a lot, probably one a day, something like that now,
Mm,
of businesses particularly saying, I'm done. I'm done with social media and I'm off. I know you're closing
mhm,
your business completely. We can talk about that because we're both coaches. We both have the same, if you like, challenges in that. What
mhm.
made you make your decision? And I know we're going to cover Instagram and social media and membership groups. And so I'm really pleased to talk to you today, Janet.
I think there were several sort of things, and it'd been going on and around in my mind for quite a long time. And I was sort of thinking, well, shall I or shan't I? And then one day I thought, you know, look at my life, look at my age. I'd had a very significant birthday. Not
Oh,
that age affects me, and
21.
I'm yes, that's the one. That's the one. Very significant. And I just thought, I'm lucky, really privileged to have actually got to my age because a lot of people
Mm.
don't. And so I take it as a privilege. And then I kind of think of myself, I'm in the departure lounge of life, but I'm not ready to board yet. I'm not even pre-boarding. So what am I going to do? Every hour, every day, I should actually make the most of it. And I haven't got long to actually fulfill lots of things I still want to do. Two friends in the last year have actually been diagnosed with cancer as well. And,
Yeah.
talking to them, it really makes you think, really examine and step back. What am I doing? Where do I want to be? What do I want to do? And, the sort of coaching that I've been doing with mainly with people who actually suffered abuse. And it's not
Right.
physical abuse, but it's mental,
Mm.
narcissistic abuse, mental, physical is not something that's there, but it is abuse. And I think a lot of people don't realize that it is abuse. But it's very emotionally challenging for
Mm.
me as a coach on a long-term basis because when you coach somebody who's suffering from narcissistic abuse, maybe they're going through a divorce, it's a long-term process because a narcissist will make it very difficult for you to get a divorce. So
Yeah.
it's a long time. And I actually I get very involved with them, obviously objectively, but it
Yes.
does actually sometimes trigger. And I think I came to the point where I thought, well, I've helped a lot of people and I really feel I've given some really valuable help that I need to step back now and use the rest of my time to do the things that I want to do. And so that was really the sort of the catalyst, I guess, to make me decide to step back. Yeah.
And often it's hard. I'm working with another client, it's hard to close down a business. It's kind of like your baby. And even though for one person, when we looked at the finances, it wasn't actually making money. And when we worked
Mm,
it out, it's like, well, hang on, this doesn't actually make sense. But I'm hanging on to it because I've had it for, several years. And I've worked with lots of people with their business going, actually, let's really have a look at what you are getting out of this and what's the need, or is it just really hard to finally close that website down,
mm,
and go, that's it, I'm done. Obviously, as a coach myself, I agree with you. And sometimes when people say, what, you only do 2 or 3 hours a day, when I was coaching a lot, and I'd be going, yes, and they were like, well, that's nothing. You only talk to people, not as you're saying, realizing the impact and actually the effort that it takes to stay in a very present, what we in the NLP world would call upstate, so
mm.
that you're just concentrating on that person rather than running your own thoughts as well. It's tiring. It's
Yeah. And
emotionally
and there's
tiring.
the prep time before. And I
Correct.
always give a feedback after, I always do an action plan after it. So although it's an hour session, it's probably taking half a day if you're doing
Yeah.
it properly. And that's what I wanted to do. I never actually ran my business to make money. I never did that. My aim was to cover the costs, and if I made anything, that was good. But I knew from the start it wasn't going to be, one of these Instagram six-figure businesses, because it just wasn't. So, that's what I was there for. And I've actually, in my goodbye post, I've also said to any clients, I'm still here if
Mm,
they need me. I won't take anybody new, but if they can always just run something by me, because I just feel that you become a very important part of
you
their
do.
lives. Then it's somebody who is not emotionally sort of giving advice, because you can stand back objectively, so they can talk to you, which in a way that they can't talk to their friend or their relatives. So
A-
yeah, but
Absolutely.
yeah. Mhm.
But it also
So
means, as you say, you've got that there. And I did see on your post, just as I said, I am still here for any existing clients
yeah.
and happy to help. And there is that huge pressure if we're looking at social media, isn't there, with
Mm,
regards to business and this belief that you have to be
mm,
on social media if you've got a business. Well, I personally, as you know, as a coach, I rarely mention the fact that I'm a coach on social media. I'm only on Instagram to like, I'm also on Facebook. I don't really post there. I'm on there because of the village community. So you get to know
mm.
when the road is flooded or, something has happened in the village. And for me, I also think it's a bit like, okay, people say, well, they get to know you and on Instagram if you're doing your business, but I didn't want to use it for that. I use it for fun. People see the very
Mm.
authentic me. Sometimes I'm covered in mud. Sometimes, I'm in my pajamas, which my lovely husband often takes a photograph of me with his wellies on, feeding the birds at 7 o'clock in the morning. And interestingly, that has brought me one or two people who've then obviously done a bit of research as to what I do and have come to me as clients saying, actually, I really like your authenticity and I like your lifestyle. But a lot of my clients don't hang out on social media,
Yeah,
interestingly.
same with mine. And so my social media, and Instagram was the main one, although I repost to Facebook, but it's Instagram, was to actually get free information out there
Mm,
to people suffering from narcissistic abuse. So it wasn't as a sales pitch, it was for that. And they're not going to follow you. You can't look at, people say, oh, you need lots of followers. But it wasn't about that, because if you're going through a divorce and abuse, you're not going to follow somebody who's a specialist in it, because you don't want your partner or other people to know that you're actually going through it, because there's a lot of shame. You actually blame yourself that you've brought this abuse on yourself. So that was
mm,
how I use social media anyway. Um, but I think Instagram is a bit, I call it like it was always very difficult to, it's like a needle in a haystack,
yeah,
and a haystack of Instagram has grown and grown and grown. And it's very difficult to find the needle in there that actually has good content that, for me, and I'm talking personally about me.
yeah, yeah.
Mm,
I agree with you. I mean, it has changed a lot. There's a lot more sort of adverts that come up. There's a lot of selling that goes
mm,
on, and I agree. I've regularly go through who I'm following and unsubscribe, unfollow because I think actually that's not for me.
mm.
Some of them as well, and I watch my own behaviors and I think, oh no, no, everybody's following them that I follow. I must follow them, and then I've gone, no, what am I doing? I don't actually look at them. I'm getting a little bit tired of what I call the acting on
Yeah, it's
Instagram
idealized
accounts.
lifestyle, I call it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's a phenomenon. I don't know, it's become a phenomenon of like monetization of personality and lifestyle. That's
Yes.
how I kind of see it now. But I mean, I'm not knocking it all. There are, like I say, the needles in there that you need to find, but it's more and more difficult. And you're always being pushed now. This person suggested for you, and lots of other people are appearing on your feed that you've not even followed. So, and I actually think they listen to you, because I've noticed on a few occasions I've mentioned things, and suddenly I'm getting posts about, maybe something I wanted in the garden. Suddenly I'm being inundated. So
I mean,
I
it's
don't
quite
like that.
scary, isn't it? With AI coming in as well, you do start to think,
Yes.
hang on a minute, what's going on here? I agree. Kind of, you're talking about
Yeah.
something, and then a friend the other night said, we were just talking about this, and look what's appeared on my
Yes.
social media. And you go,
Yeah.
yeah, totally agree. I'm not against
Yeah.
it. If people want to use it, that's fine. But I think if you're looking to buy, if you're looking to, engage somebody on a professional level, then it's about checking out, or what I would see is due diligence.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. I mean, I've done a lot of looking around when I was actually thinking about upscaling the business in a way at coaches. And I actually found my background is market
Mm.
intelligence. So I was
Oh,
always
okay.
used to doing a lot of investigating of people. So actually, when I looked at some of these coaches that were trying to sell to me, and I think, due diligence is a good word, they actually haven't got any corporate knowledge, they haven't got any business knowledge, actually, when that's what they were trying to sell you that they had. So I actually find that you have to really, really be careful. And look, I mean, there's some great people out there as well. I mean, Jess Harvey,
Yeah,
she's a great coach. She has a very solid corporate background. For a long time, she's just set up on her own coaching. She sells, but she does it in a really good professional way. And you know that what you're buying is actually what she can deliver. So that's really
absolutely.
good. And I actually had a chat with her when I was thinking about giving up the business. And it was really good. It's very, sort of, she focused my thinking, challenged me about
Yeah,
my thinking, and that was really good. So, but there are so many coaches, and that you can sign up for these free programs, which, good idea. You actually can get some quite good gems out of them, but there's going to be an upsell at the end.
it's
And
it's the
and when
funnel, isn't it? You start
it's
here
the
and then you funnel
funneling.
them down. You funnel them
Yes.
down to the freebie, and then you funnel them down to buying a cheap program, and then you funnel
Yeah.
them down to buying the more expensive program, and
The
then
exclusive one.
correct. And then before you know it, oh, I've got a membership group. Why don't you join? Just see.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
I
some of these
agree.
programs, when you actually got to it, eye-watering amounts of money,
Mm,
eye-watering amounts. One would
mm.
think was like 25,000 just for, in actual fact, this was run by somebody who then had recruited lots of other people. So she was recruiting hundreds and hundreds of people onto this course. And it was a bit like pyramid selling.
Yeah.
Um, that I think you've got a word for it. What did you
It's called
use?
MLM. It's multi-level marketing. I mean, which
Yes.
started with something like Avon. I mean, if people are
Yes.
wondering what is
Yes. Or that clean easy, wasn't
multi-level
it?
marketing,
Yeah.
yes, Clean Easy or
There are
Tupperware.
other
There
things
are
available.
there's a lot of other things out there,
Yeah.
which is when you recruit somebody to also sell and then you train them and then you get a percentage. I think, there's things like Arbonne out there and you people kind of go, these are expensive products, but when you think about it, they've got to be expensive because some of these kind of multi-level marketings go down to 5, 7, 9 people, which means the
Yes.
person at number one is making money off the person of number nine, as is number eight, number seven, and number six, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's a bit like
And
pyramid.
so even if you've done your due diligence and the person at the top of what I call the
Hmm.
pyramid was actually quite good, by the time you got to the person who's actually going to actually deliver the content of the course you paid for, you can't do that. Well, it's too late to do the due diligence. You've signed on. So,
Yeah.
and I actually went on one of the freebies, and they actually said to me, "Well, the big key you have to do here, and it's one model fits all," which again I
Oh,
don't believe in
doesn't.
because it doesn't. Is that you can't you need to stop one-on-one coaching. You need to do group coaching. Well, if you're selling how to use Instagram, I can see that's a very good model. But if you're doing what I'm doing, how could I possibly do group coaching with 5 people all going through a narcissistic divorce who it just doesn't work, does it? But
No,
they were pushing this, and that's why I find it really difficult when they do these courses. They've got one size fits all, and it doesn't.
it
And
absolutely
and what they
doesn't.
don't do is look at the value of what is the possible value of the business that you're going into. How much can you earn? Is it realistic to tell you that you can earn a six-figure number? Is that is that business even there? So looking at everything in one view that is not realistic. And I think it's very sad that it's come to that really on. But unfortunately, people who just start a business actually can go down that track and pay all this money. I'm sure there are successes, but I mean,
Hmm.
I'd love to know what the percentage success rate is.
The thing is, you'll never find out, will you?
No,
It'll never actually
no,
find out. And they've
yeah,
always got the get out. Well, if you didn't make the money, you obviously didn't do exactly
didn't
what I
didn't follow.
said. You
Yeah, I
didn't
didn't
follow
follow.
the instructions.
Yes,
And
yeah,
we do know some people who have followed the instructions and it's not worked. And the reason being, which is why I
yeah,
also like Jess, I have Jess is part of a little coaching group that we have.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
just we
Yeah.
just chat, and it's new coaches, and
Yeah.
I pass on things that I've learned that took me a while to learn and questions to ask, and we just have a chat once a month. And it's interesting when you start looking at it, and as they've then become coaches themselves, kind of go, there are so many people out there who haven't even got a qualification in coaching, and for
Mm.
me, I think Jess does, and I know it's the analogy they use for coaching when they're training coaching now, because I trained 20 odd years ago as a coach, is it's like driving a car. If you're learning to drive a car, what's the difference between coaching, mentoring, and sponsorship? And I think Jess uses a great analogy in the podcast I did with her, which is the previous podcast on here, of, you're learning to drive a car. Well, if you're mentoring, you kind of tell them, well, you do this, you put the clutch in, you turn on the engine, you do it like that. If it's coaching, it's like, well, how can I help you? What is it you need to know? Where do you think you're lacking in, information? Is it confidence or whatever? That's coaching. And sponsorship is when you're cheering somebody on, going, yes, you can do it, and I can put you in contact. And I think too many people, and I know it started because I was right at the beginning, really, of the coaching explosion. There was only one school, and it was the Academy of Coaching, that was training. I'd never really heard of it before. And then as the years went on through the early 2000s, we suddenly realized a lot of mentors were jumping on the bandwagon. They'd been called mentors before, and now they're calling themselves coaches, but
Mm.
they hadn't actually done any form of
No,
training.
no.
Uh,
I mean, and then, especially if you're dealing with an area that I am or was, you need to be make sure that because you're dealing with people that are having abuse, and
yeah,
it's a very important part of their lives that you are then making sure that you're giving correct guidance. You
absolutely.
can't, it's guidance, it's strategies to be able to cope. You
Yes,
haven't got a magic wand, but it's actually down dialing the emotion that they're going through, all those negative emotions. And if the coach or the mentor, as they call themselves, hasn't got the qualification, then I think it's a very dangerous thing. And there's no anybody can set up on Instagram, can't they, saying they're anybody. I mean,
yeah.
there's no verification. I mean, even if you get the blue tick, which I actually did, I don't do it anymore because obviously I'm leaving. They just want to see your passport. What, yes, it's me, but it doesn't mean I've got a qualification. So,
And it is, I think, for me, there's a level of which people do see part of my life, but they absolutely don't see all of my life. And some
yes,
people, you think you're seeing their full backstory, but actually you're not. There's even stuff behind that that they don't let you know or allude to, about what's
yes,
what's going on. So again, it's this very
mm,
kind of false reality, if that's the word, and people
mm,
buy into that, don't they? Uh,
yes, yeah,
I
very
use the
much.
analogy, would you go to it shows my age and yours probably, without being rude, Yellow Pages? Would you have found a coach from Yellow Pages?
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely not. I would go personal referral. And that,
yes.
that's
Yeah, and
that's
that's where most
important.
of my clients came from. It
Yeah, me
wasn't
too.
Instagram, the odd one, but mainly it's personal word of mouth, which I
Yes.
think is good. And that, I mean, again, one of the things that I hate as well about all these courses is that I get lots of what I call cold calling. When I lived in France and Switzerland, you can put on your letterbox a sticker that says no pub, which is no publicity. And Instagram, well, you can't stop them. They're always in my inbox.
Mm,
All these strange people who've just, I can sell, you can do this, I can get you this, I can get you so many followers. And I block and delete, but they always then often pop up with another. But I'm blocking, deleting. And it's just awful that you can't stop what I call cold calling.
which all data protection stuff has gone in that way,
Yes,
doesn't
yes, because
exist.
yes, I haven't given them permission to use my email. I've not signed up to their newsletter, but they're doing it all the time
Yeah.
through Instagram.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
those comments. If you want my free so and so, put comment or results or yes.
yes,
And then, of course, you
yeah,
get that. And then you get the never ending
yeah,
marketing on
yeah.
behind that. So,
Or they're coming through the messenger side of
yeah, the
Instagram
trouble
too.
is they
And
come
I'm,
through so many things sometimes. You think, hang
yeah.
on, how did you get on me? I don't have my
Yeah.
personal mobile on. And that's
Oh
again where I
gosh.
was very
No, I don't. No,
careful.
goodness
I
me, no.
learnt, yeah, I
Yes, me
learnt
too.
very early on with my
Yeah.
website when I became a coach not to have my personal mobile. And again, I think this is different depending on the business that you do. But I could be sitting down on a Friday night, nice and relaxed, 8 o'clock, watching TV. My mobile would go, I would answer it, and there's somebody on the end saying, I feel really suicidal. I've been given your number. Would you be able
Yes.
to help me? I
Yeah.
suffer from anxiety. And you kind of go, hang on a minute, I'm in relax mode here. And then it's very
Yeah.
difficult with what we do to say, I'm sorry, I'm not in
Mm.
office hours. Could you ring me back on Monday? Well, could you just, and
Yeah. I
before
mean,
you know it, you've done an hour's
you're into. I
coaching
gave
for nothing.
once. I once gave my phone number out. I know that was a big, big mistake. The phone was going all the time.
Yeah.
Wasn't even a client. So yeah, you're right. And my phone number is nowhere on Instagram and nowhere to be found because that's yeah, and I have a separate email address as well for my business. I
Yeah.
mean, and obviously you get the occasional um, trolling kind of email. But one woman wrote to me and said that I must be the person who's coaching the prat of her husband, and was quite, the language in it was quite. Well, I didn't
Fruity.
even know the name. Yes, yeah, I didn't even know the name. I hadn't been coaching them as it happened, but not that, but you do get, you're bound to get the odd thing, but it's this, you can't stop once you've, even though they haven't got your phone number, all these people trying to sell
Mm,
things get
mm.
through. And it's a bit like, when you go into a shop, and you're looking at something, I hate being pounced on. I
Yes.
hate it. And quite often it will result in me going out of the shop, but you can't do that on Instagram because they just keep pouncing on you. And if they're selling something, it's this repeating emails, last chance to sign up,
Yeah.
10% discount, do it by the end of this week. And then you ignore it. And then another one will come saying, we've extended the period.
Yes.
And it's just like,
Or
go away,
early
stop
bird
it.
price,
Yes. It's like,
jump on the early bird. We've
you
got
want to
10
bat the
places.
bat the fly. Yes. And that's what I mean about, it's just like you can't, but you've gone into a shop, you can walk out, but here they just keep bombarding you. And
Yeah.
I'm always unsubscribing, I have to say.
No, I agree. I'm always unfollowing, unsubscribing. I go through on a regular basis and think, why am I
Yeah.
following this person? And then I look, I suppose I reflect, as a coach does, reflect, okay, what is it about this account that I don't like it anymore, or what's going on? And often that's because it's, as I say, for me personally, I know some people love it, which is why I think TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. I will never go on TikTok.
I'm
Although
not on
people
TikTok.
say never. I don't do TikTok.
Yeah.
And they love all the acting and that goes on and the setup for it, and oh, this is my mum's coming to help me do the garden, and then oh, she's setting up and look at her in her I don't know, high heels, and mum, what are you doing? And I just think, really, no.
Yeah.
That's, and then I
No.
I
Yeah.
will unfollow those sorts of
Yeah.
those sorts of
But there are some, really, I
accounts.
mean, I enjoy anything about renovation. You do lots of nice
Yes,
renovation things. I
thank you.
adore my Welsh castle. She's
Yeah,
That's
lovely
Jude. She's
Jude.
renovating
I
it.
agree.
I
And
adore,
Man with a
adore
Hammer.
that.
I follow
Yes. All
Greg
those,
with, on that
yes,
side.
all those things I really, really like. And so I find that really interesting. And then, those people that do sell, like Spark Social, that's Lou. She actually does Instagram coaching, but she's really good on it. She gives lots of free information and
Yeah,
she sells, but it's a very soft sell.
yeah.
And she's got lots of experience. So that's the kind of thing that, I mean, so there are lots of good ones out there, but the trouble is, the needle in the haystack thing is finding them, I think.
Which is
You know,
also, as you say, going through regularly, isn't it? To say, do you know what? No,
yeah,
because sometimes I'll see a
yeah,
post that attracts me, and then after a while, I think, why am I following this person? Actually,
yes,
this isn't me
yeah,
at all. I'm
mm,
not getting anything from this. That also then
mm,
leads you, you have the ability, which we were talking about earlier, to mute. So
yes,
somebody might have 20,000 followers, but actually, how many of those followers have muted you and aren't following you at all?
yes, because maybe there's somebody you don't want them to know that you've unfollowed them, so you can actually mute them, especially
Yes.
if they've changed. As they evolve in their Instagram account, they probably get more into selling. And I've
Yeah.
seen that where you feel like I'm not seeing the person anymore, the funny kind of things that I liked. Suddenly it's sell, sell, sell. So then I mute
Yes.
because again, it's like you being in the shop.
Yes. No, I agree. And that's why I
Yes.
regularly go
Yeah.
through and think something's happened here the flavor of this
Yes.
Instagram account has changed, and similar
Yes.
will mute or actually will unfollow. And I think it's interesting to
Mm.
look at what is it that stops people from unfollowing rather than just muting. That's when I, as a the psychological side, go, this is interesting. And do people
Mm.
actually know? Because you don't get notified somebody's unfollowed.
Oh, but a lot of people have programs that tell them.
Ah, right. Okay, there you
A lot
go.
do that. And now we're coming on to something else, which is a narcissist. A female narcissist adores Instagram. So they will be very much into looking on who's unfollowed them or followed them. And there's a lot of, all narcissists, in my
Mm,
experience, have an addiction. If
mm,
it can be drink, it can be porn, it can
yeah,
be drugs. And for the female covert narcissist, it's social media
yeah,
because they get up absolutely addicted to likes, follows, and just the whole thing of actually getting supply because they can do what I call thirsty posts. And that's not in a just they're actually throwing things out. So they get lots and lots of replies that strokes their ego.
yeah.
So, they're very prevalent out there. You can find them because there's lots of selfies, lots of self-promotion. In the post, they'll use a lot of I, me, my,
Mm,
that kind of thing. Also, a lot of exhibitionism. They'll do something quite off the wall to actually provoke a response.
yeah.
Sometimes that response might be negative, but they're getting supply. So a lot of their posts aren't the general ones, but they're very provocative and promotional about themselves.
That's
Um,
interesting because, I mean, as you say, it's the covert narcissist. I've got a friend, Michelle
yes,
Paradise. I don't know. I mean, she's a fellow coach,
yeah,
fellow and a peer, and Michelle deals with all narcissism as well. That's her thing, and tends to have gone
yeah,
that way. She said, actually, social media's kind of pointed me in that direction, and she gives lots
yeah,
of information. She was also saying when you look into it, that there's the communal narcissist as well, that as well as the covert, very similar, but allows people to think they're helping you. So the communal narcissist, I'm helping all of these people. Look at me. I'm helping you and I'm helping you and I'm helping you. But actually, it's all about them. And how do I keep
yes,
you there, making
yes,
you think that I'm helping you in
yeah.
this
So they
way? And
get
I was
very
like,
jealous of other accounts that are bigger than them. They'll
yeah,
get quite really, it'll really wind them up. And it's quite obsessional. It's really obsessive behavior about following an engagement and getting that feedback and getting that supply. And they're actually out there looking for empaths. It's a great way to net them in because they can use them then. So,
mm,
there's a lot of that out there that's quite dangerous, I feel, in, the sphere that I've been working in that I think, but they're quite hard to spot because they're covert and people feel sorry for them because they're attracting, they put a sad story out because that's probably not even true, because they
yeah,
want to garner lots of engagement because the more engagement they get, then the algorithm of Instagram
picks it up.
actually picks it up. So, and then they get more followers and, and then it's obsessional. So, they're out there every day looking at who's following, luckily they can't see if they're muting. But it's
Yes.
like followers are kind of trophies and it's sort of center of, it's like mirror, mirror on the wall kind of thing.
Yeah.
On either fairest of them all, and so to garner that kind of thing.
And it's
So
also that
that's
competitive edge, isn't it, with the narcissist? Well, they've got 10,000 followers. They've got 20,000 followers. They've got 30,000 followers.
yes,
Oh, I've
yeah,
got to compete. And isn't it sad that that's where a lot of people live their lives? I saw a post, a
yeah,
lady who does do Instagram. She's lovely, and was saying about anybody else, getting upset about the fact that squares have become rectangles or something on the grid. And I was
yes,
like, because she specializes in that, and
yeah.
I commented, I hadn't even noticed. And his grid now looks a mess. And I literally commented to Philly. I said, I hadn't even noticed the grid had changed. So that shows how obsessed I
No,
am
I did
with
read
what
a lot
my
about
grid
it,
looks like.
and he told you how to correct your grid, and I thought I really couldn't be bothered.
No.
I mean, really, is anybody going to look that? Well, no, but yeah, no, yeah, there's been a lot about the grid and what you can do, and I just thought I haven't even, yeah, like you, I hadn't really looked at it and I haven't really thought
Well, obviously, I
because
don't look at other people's grids
yeah,
either then, because I hadn't noticed
life's too
anything.
short to wonder
Oh,
about my grid being square or
yes.
rectangle, isn't it?
I absolutely agree with you. I mean, I'm on there for a bit of fun, don't get me wrong, and I know lots of people obviously get a lot from it, and people do get business from it. I understand all of
Yes,
that.
yeah.
And there are certain businesses that are internet based. So
Yeah,
that's where
and they
your
have to do it,
clientele are.
and I'm still going to do it. I mean, I've set up my own kind of personal one now because I want to still look at the accounts that I want to look at, but I'm not taking my followers over. I'm not renaming that account because that for me is a
It's a
closed
dead.
chapter.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a dead chapter. But I mean, I'll leave the information there. I think I've already taken off how to contact me because there's no point.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing we were going to talk about was membership, wasn't
Yes.
it?
Yeah, membership
Membership.
groups. Because
So
you mentioned to me when we were just kind of messaging backwards and forwards, oh, the other thing
yeah,
that drives me mad are all these membership groups now. And I was like,
yes,
yep, I'm with
yeah,
you on that one.
yes. Because I did join one, I think 5 years ago. It was, and I actually thought it'd be a good idea. And then I got very guilty with myself because I was never available when they were giving talks and things. Then I think, oh, actually, it's not a lot of money, but I'm still paying it, and I'm not actually
Mm.
getting anything out of it. So it's a bit like joining a gym, in January and thinking I'm going to go and you pay the fee, but you never get there. So it got me a bit like that because I was so preoccupied. So I think if you join a membership, be very careful to look at the membership. What is it actually there for? Is it there to upsell you something else?
Mm.
Or is it a genuine information meeting, learning, meeting people or actually increasing your knowledge about something? Or is it just a vehicle to actually sell you something else? And the trouble is, I think a lot of those memberships, it's not, what is it, £15, £20 a month
Yeah.
that you kind of forget. But collectively, that's a lot of money for somebody who then isn't actually doing anything. And the one I've joined another one since, but the first one, just talking about that, then you actually got people who joined it to sell to you as well. So
Yes.
you were then getting inundated from them trying to sell you something. So I think you have to really look at what is the objectives of that membership, and what am I going to get out of it? And one thing I actually had difficulty with was actually when I did decide to leave, is actually you can't actually, on some of them, they set it up so you can't actually go and unsubscribe yourself. You have to get the moderator or the owner of the membership to do it for you.
Ah.
So I eventually with this one actually stopped the payment off my card. But then my card said to me, in 13 months, it could start again unless you remember in 13 months to cancel it again.
I mean,
So,
that's incredible. So you could stop the
yes,
payment. The moderator hasn't, I didn't realize this until we were chatting.
yes,
The moderator doesn't take you off, and then it could
yes,
kickstart. And so you wouldn't, and I mean, I personally check,
yes,
my credit card
yes, I'd
statement
see it.
every
Yeah,
month. I
yes,
know a lot of people from my own
yeah,
clients when you talk
yeah,
to them, go, oh, no, I haven't checked it. No, no,
yeah,
I know every item that's going
yes.
out of,
So I'm not saying all memberships are
no,
like that,
no.
but just do your research before you join one. Just sort of say, how do I unsubscribe? Is it there? Can I do it myself? Or, yeah. So
Because
that
again,
that
that
kind of
sometimes plays on to people's emotions, doesn't it? I mean, we're talking people
yeah,
probably not as strong as you and I, who would then feel, oh, I feel a bit guilty now about having to unsubscribe. And I have had that with clients
yeah,
saying, well, they feel like a bit of a friend, and I'm unsubscribing and I'm stopping that
yeah,
payment. And oh, well, it's just easier because again, I don't want to face that conflict. So
yes,
it's easier not to have to deal with it by I'll just pay
yeah,
the £15 a month. And I know with one client when we looked, she was something like 120 odd pounds a month that was going out, and she was in debt. Hang on a
yeah. I mean,
minute.
if you joined 5 memberships,
Absolutely.
exactly, you're thinking, well, that's going to help me. In a bad moment, you think, yeah, you'll feel lonely, or that'd be a good way to make friends. But yeah, so I think you just need to sort of sit back, put it in the basket, but not press this,
Yeah.
bought until you've actually looked into it and done your due diligence again. It's all about that, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because I think a
absolutely.
lot of memberships are about upselling. It's not about, you know, the fundamentals of really what they're telling you it's about.
Or
So,
it's
and
about
maybe,
allowing you, the member, to upsell. So people go
yes,
in and think, well, I
to
can
upsell.
join this because there's a whole group of people in here. And what I can do is I can post on
Yeah.
the forum or the chat.
Yeah.
I can post my business and sell it to lots of other people. And even that then I know makes people feel guilty, other people in the group thinking, oh, I really ought to be buying this or supporting this, and because it's
Mm.
sold in that way, because
Yeah.
they're a member of the group, and we've all got
Mm.
to support each other. And you just think, hang on. I
Mm.
agree. And there's more and more
Mm.
membership type groups
Mm.
appearing online, aren't there?
Yeah, and I think again that's sold to you on these courses that you go on.
Hmm.
Oh, set up a membership group. So it's like that one fits all kind of approach. That this is the way you should run your business. When possibly, I mean, I couldn't have had a membership. Not that I've ever wanted one, but how could you possibly do that? Same with you, I'm sure.
Yeah,
It's just,
absolutely.
and the thoughts of all that admin every month, and oh no, 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 no,
But again, I
awful.
suppose it's all
No.
sorts of options for various people, isn't it? It suits some people, they get a lot from
Yes.
it, they love it if
Yeah.
they're, and they want that interaction online. I'm very much more person to person. I like,
Mm.
much more interaction. And whilst we're saying about, well, you could do this and we can meet up, actually, I need to meet up with my old friends. You suddenly realize, why am I doing this and spending time here when I really want to spend more time? Like you, I'm of an age, unfortunately, where friends are now, health is not good with them. I've
Yes.
got a friend
Yeah.
whose partner has now got dementia, and
Mm.
they actually need my support. They're the friends that I've had since I was sort of in my 20s or even in my
Mm.
teens. And I suddenly thought, I don't need any more friends. I
No,
can hardly,
no, I
if
think
the
no,
word is
exactly, and
service, I can hardly keep up and service the friends that I've got who I'd really like to spend more time with it at my
exactly,
age. They know my history, they know my family. We don't have to go through all that, they know my
yeah,
my
exactly,
background.
and you just time is precious, and you have to think about how you spread it because there's family too, and if you start going down some of the, and then they start meeting up, don't they, in person and
Correct.
things like that, and it's it's something that maybe where it depends on your circumstance, but for me, it didn't work for me.
No,
And I can
no.
only talk about me and how I feel, and if I was 20 or 30 I might think differently, um
Yes.
but I think, like I say, when the departure lounge is feeling is with me, then I need to now look at you know
Yes, I'm kind of pushing back from the departure line. Or as I say, you never know if you're on a train. There was a great analogy, and I think it's still on YouTube or somewhere about life on a train and how people come and go out your carriage. And sometimes, you'll go back and somebody else has taken your space. And it basically kind of goes, you never know when your stop's coming up and when it's
exactly.
time for you to get off the train. And
Yes.
yeah, and
Oh, okay.
it's thinking about it does make you think, that time is short and how do I want to spend this time? I agree, there are some people who
Yeah.
are very lonely, maybe they've lost
Mm.
partners, they don't have a friendship group around them that these are ideal for, and they can get to make
Yes.
new friends, or they're too shy to kind of go out on their own. I see, obviously a lot of
Mm.
that as people get older. So they kind of get to know somebody first and feel safe before they then go, oh, well, actually, yes, I'll go and meet up for lunch or I'll go and meet up for coffee. I think it's what we're saying. It's down to the individual and what suits you, but about being
Mm.
very aware if it doesn't suit you, then
Yeah,
it's,
and look into it, but don't
yeah,
feel bullied into joining one, which I think sometimes does go on.
yes. And don't feel bullied
Yeah.
into staying if you no
Yes,
longer want
if it
to.
doesn't suit you. Yeah. I mean, there's
Exactly.
a really good group. I can't remember her name. She's a widow coach where she's done groups of widows who've recently lost partners. And I think that could be really, really valuable in
Yes.
just talking to somebody who's going through what you're going through, because the 5 stages of grief and everything.
Mm,
And actually that's so, there's a place for lots of groups that actually have at that point in your life a good place
yeah.
and resonates with you.
And I
But
think that's the thing that you're talking about there is, well, it resonates great, but don't
hmm,
feel you have to stay forever.
yes, because that that would possibly have a negative effect long run. Because
Exactly.
I think, as you come through the stages of grief to acceptance, then it's possibly time
Time to
to
move
move
on.
on. But
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
And the same as
so
a coach, I'm never upset or worried if somebody kind of goes, well, I'm finished, Jill. And
it's
something,
good.
and
Yeah,
that's great. I do
yes,
do a mentoring role, which is very different. So I do have
mm,
regular, but they are, wealthy. They're wealthier clients who run their own businesses who use me more as a sounding board each week because, as
yes,
they said,
yeah,
I can't talk to anybody else. I am the boss, you know. And I
mm.
really, one client was great and said to me, I mean, very top of his game. I'm like, okay, so you want me? He said, yeah, but Jill, you give me a bloody nose, whereas nobody else
Mm.
below me, they're all petrified to do that because they think I'm going to sack them. And
Yeah.
yeah, we
Yeah.
have a regular,
Often I say to my clients, oh, what's your gut really telling you? Because
exactly.
often deep down they know.
Yes,
They know.
exactly. And I will
Mm.
signpost people if I think I'm done and I can't help them. And that's where I work really well with Jess Harvey. You know, if they think somebody's better off over with a different coach, then I will signpost like I have done in the past with you. I said, look, it's not my speciality. Go and have a word with, you know, I can recommend this person or I can recommend that person. But it's
Mm.
amazing how many clients kind of think, oh, I can't tell you. It's a bit like, I suppose, I would use the analogy of if you have a PT at the gym, and I used to, and you get to know them really, 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 really well, and you love it and you have a laugh, but actually you get to the point that I don't really need them anymore. But so many people then
Mm.
don't like to say, actually, I don't need you anymore because some
Mm.
can react quite badly. But I think that's all about professionalism. And if somebody says to me, that's fine,
Yeah. I mean, I'm really happy that
they don't,
if they've
yeah.
got to a place where they don't need you, they've found themselves again.
Exactly, exactly. And I think
Yeah.
there's so
That's
many
good.
human emotions out there, but
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
interesting. Then you said, no, I've decided to stop. I'm looking at my life and what
Mm.
do I want? And sometimes you go, maybe I should have done this 10 years earlier. You know?
Yeah, well, I think I hadn't even set it up then. It
Yeah.
was as I came out of my own divorce, I
Mm,
retrained. I'd actually retired. I retrained then to do this because I felt so passionate about it. Because if I'd have known the things that
it
I
would have
then trained
helped.
to find out, it would have really helped. So yeah, so I wouldn't have done it, but maybe I should have maybe a year ago, possibly. Yeah,
Yes.
when I was toying with it all.
Yes.
Um,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
probably.
very similar. You know, I'm very lucky. I haven't had to chase clients. I've had personal referrals. And as I said earlier, my level of client doesn't hang out on social media. And they kind of look at you like, why would you? I've got no need. And again, that's that belief that everybody is on social media.
Mhm.
Actually, everybody isn't
No, they're
social
not.
media. The majority of
No.
people aren't on any social media. And
Mm.
it is looking at, okay, I'm not chasing clients. I keep saying, okay, because you know, if you follow, you do follow me, I'm into my upcycling now, I'm into my willow
Mm.
weaving, I'm into my gardening, growing my fruit and veg. That's the area I'm going, much more the creative side. And I kind of go, okay, I'm not going to chase clients. As they fade away, they'll fade away. But then, of course, I keep getting another personal referral or clients come back from 10 years ago.
Yes, they often, yeah,
Yeah.
if
And
something has happened,
yes.
yeah,
And they're often
yeah.
now the
You suddenly get a
teenagers.
call.
Yeah, it's the teenagers
Yeah,
I was dealing with when they were 14, 11, 12, 13, 14, that sort of age, now in their 20s, who contact me and say, oh, and the loveliest thing I hear is when clients say, I always remember when you said this, and this has really helped me. And I even get messages from them on Instagram saying, oh, I remember when you said, and that's really helped me through my whole life, and I've used it. And you go, oh, yeah,
yeah,
oh,
it is. Yes, yeah, and I love that. I love it when they come back and sort of say, you've got me through this, and I'm here now, and I've met somebody else, and yeah, and it really brings a warm feeling that
yes,
to me, and I think I get a lot. I mean, I'm very passionate about what I did, and so I feel that you have to be passionate about what you do, because
yeah,
otherwise you're not going to help anybody. And I think the thing about Instagram as well is if you have business on Instagram, it could be gone tomorrow, because if you
absolutely.
get taken down, you've gone. Like influencers, for instance, they can't get mortgages and things because they might be earning an absolute fortune, but it's seen
It's
as a
just,
job that tomorrow could go. So it's not, yeah.
which was just shown, wasn't it, over the last weekend or so with TikTok, when America was like, well, that's
Yes.
it, we're banning TikTok.
Yes,
And they
he's
take us,
dead.
so
Down it goes. Yeah.
that's it. And again,
Yeah.
like you, I've seen people who suddenly, for some reason, their account is gone and they
Yeah.
really struggle and they can't get the help they want to get the account back. And as I say, I listen to this webinar with my friend Jenny and do a lot of what she does in terms of there's different ways of getting contacts and networking that
Yeah.
doesn't involve having to put you out there or scary or be, obsessed with the grid. And she was talking
Mm.
about, lots of associations that you can write or do
Yes.
talks to or actually go to other people's events. And the mere fact that you're there and talking to somebody else it's amazing, just similar people, and therefore, she's got a lot of work that way. So yeah, it's really
And I think
interesting.
those things are coming back. I think COVID stopped a lot of those networking groups. And I think I can see now that that's coming back. The same with the move to get people back into the office,
Yeah.
you know. So that I think is coming back more, and will play a bigger role
And
than it
this is,
has been
yeah,
after COVID.
and this is where I'm seeing a lot of the businesses, online saying they're coming off because they actually want to meet people in real person, in real
Yeah.
life. And there's enough business there to do it. And it's getting out of your head. This, I think Jenny Kovacs was saying, it's this belief everybody, and you'll be told by people, you have to be on social media. You have
Yeah,
to be
I
on
mean, I
social
was
media.
told,
But
I felt I had to be. I was
yeah,
told so many times, you need to, what are you doing? Show your face, show your face. Hated showing my face. Did it for a bit, stop that. Because, you know, I think enough was coming through about me. I know they need to understand you as a person, but I didn't feel that that had to come from Instagram. I
no,
always say to a client, if you're thinking of coming with me, let's have an initial
chat.
chat, see what the chemistry is like, because that will tell them far more and tell me what your objectives are if you did want to see me. And that's far better than them seeing me pontificating on Instagram.
No, I agree. And it's also, I think, as a coach, can I get on with you?
Yes,
You
exactly. It
know,
has to be a two-way thing.
absolutely. And I'll say
Yeah.
that to each client. It's about, let's have a chat. Let's see if we can work together. Let's see if I am the right person for
Mm,
you, because I'm a challenging coach. You know me from old, and I'm not a fluffy coach. I'm not going to be
mm,
that person. I will challenge you. So let's have a look at what are you wanting to achieve from it. And then I never say to them,
mm,
okay, right, and this is not the salesperson in me who'd be telling you, right, you've got to close the sale and tell them, okay, now when would you like to book the first session?
mm.
I always say to a client, go
Yeah, I
away
never
and
did
have a
that.
no, me either.
Exactly. Yeah.
Go away and think
Yeah.
about it. We've had a chat. And if
Mm,
you think I'm the right person, then come back to me. And if I'm not, I don't want
mm,
to put them under pressure. You've got to sign here, you must sign up, you've got to do so many sessions. That personally isn't how I work as a coach,
mm.
because I think that's really important. Everybody is different. Some
Yeah.
people, it's six
Mm.
sessions isn't going to help. For other
No,
people, you know,
one might. Yeah.
one helps, and they
Mm,
go away for a while and put that into action, and that's
mm,
that's good enough,
mm.
so well, I your next chapter, as I know, I hope, I love your
Yes.
skiing in the snow and that
Yes.
sort of thing. I
Yeah.
mean, those are the things
Yeah.
that what I call, possibly I'm looking at more authentic type
Mm.
accounts now, and less of the acting. I think that's the only way I could describe it. You know what I mean by when people set it all up and
Yeah.
uh,
Just you think, oh, coincidentally, a camera was there to capture that. Yes.
yes, exactly that.
Yeah.
Yes, if I'm willow weaving, then I have got a camera there, and that's a bit more. And I'm moving more towards YouTube now, on
Mm.
that basis, because again, I was discussing this with Jamie, podcast out today, about I see that slightly differently. People might see that as social media, but I see it in a slightly
I
different
don't
way.
see it as, yeah. I mean, I'm always using YouTube if I want to learn how to do
Exactly,
something. I'm always
exactly.
doing that.
Yes.
Even to opening a bottle of shampoo the other day that I couldn't work out how to do. Looked it up on YouTube and there it was.
Yes. So people
Yeah.
might argue that's social media, but actually,
No,
I
I
don't
don't
see it that
see it.
way. I don't see it the
No,
same way as Facebook and TikTok and
no.
scrolling and scrolling and scrolling.
Yeah.
And you can follow the people you want to follow, and you can dip in and out. So I've also decided that that's where I'll be heading a little bit more, because, and I have started, and they're terrible. And my podcasts now do come up, and sometimes they're on video,
Mm.
sometimes they're not, but I have managed to link them. I now need to tidy it up. And that's all about keeping my own grey cells working, as to working out,
Yeah.
how do I do this? So it's not perfect by any shape of the form of the imagination,
Yeah, but you get
but I'm
there. But
learning.
that's who wants, yeah, but you don't need perfection. I use it every morning, YouTube. I do yoga with Adrian every morning, and it's really, really good, because I can do
Yes,
it when I want to do it. I don't have to sign up to a course and
yes,
think, oh, it's dark outside. Am I going to go?
yeah,
No, I just do it every morning.
yeah, yeah.
By YouTube.
And
Great,
also, to
great
be
vehicle.
honest, I'm not really sure. There is obviously a way some people make money out of Instagram. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, I think it's advertising once you get so many
Oh,
views. I mean,
well, there you go.
that's how she does it, Adrian. So I mean, she's got millions of followers, but she does it all free, and then she's get paid by adverts. Suits
Abs
me, suits her. It's
exactly.
good.
And to me, that's the difference, because then people don't sell, 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 sell. They do,
Yeah.
and we'll say, if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe and like. And that's
Yes.
purely because
Yeah.
by doing that, I can give you this free content because I get
Mm,
paid by YouTube.
exactly.
For
Yeah.
me, that's a
Yeah.
symbiotic, if you like. It's a mutual, isn't
Yeah.
it? It works for me,
Yes.
works for my client.
It's a win-win.
Nobody's
Yeah.
paying and ads are going on. It's a win-win
Mm,
situation. So
mm,
yeah, and that's when, yes, the camera course is going to be there because I am filming what I'm actually doing so people can
mm.
see what I'm doing. I haven't quite mastered that either yet, Janet, but we'll get there. So
I'll get that.
really, really interesting. As I said, you're not the only
Thank you.
one who I'm talking to who's doing very similar. I mean, you're coming off because you're closing your business. But again, there are a lot of people I'm seeing coming off because they don't want to put their business on there. They've realized it's taking up so much energy, and people are getting stressed and anxious, and all of that about their followers.
Yeah, and then I think even before I decided, I was posting a lot less. I'd lost the will.
Yes, yes.
Mm,
And sometimes
yeah.
that's a coach saying, you've got to be on there and you've got to post and you've got to do this and you've got to do that. And I've come across clients, very similar, I think, who did similar things to you. This is what you've got in this, but I don't want to do it. And
Mm,
actually, there's a different way of doing
mm,
it. So
mhm.
been great to catch up with you.
No, thank
Thank you.
you. I've
Thank you
enjoyed
for your
it
time.
really
No,
immensely.
it's great to be
Yeah.
able to talk outside of everything and get
Mm,
other people's perspective. And everybody is different. It suits a lot of
mm.
people. So
Yep.
we're not generalizing. We're talking from our own experience and from other people that we're now seeing going, I'm done. It does make you wonder if the tide will slowly turn
Mm.
and more people will go back to, do you know what? I'd much prefer to meet people in real life and actually
Yes,
know
absolutely.
know my
Yeah.
customers on that side of things.
Yeah.
Janet, thank
And see
you.
the back of house. Thank you.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I don't need to show everything. And I think that that's also
Mm.
important. It's so sad that some people feel pressurized into having to share. Just finally, that was something I'd seen. I think it was Man with a Hammer having to share why he and his partner didn't want children, and people saying, no, 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 you will, you will.
Oh,
And him
yeah.
having to actually say, look, I'm going for the snip. And I'm like, this is really sad
Yeah.
that you're having to
Yeah, you
share
have to
this
divulge
information.
that.
Yes, just to
Yeah.
shut down
Mm,
your followers. And
mm,
no, I don't
mm,
want to be in that situation.
mm,
Thank you very much.
mm. No, me too.
Janet, thank you very much.
Okay.
And for everybody
Thank you.
listening, thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. And if you agree, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who will agree with everything we've done, no point giving a website or anything, Janet, because you're now
It's going.
free.
It should be down. Yes. Yes.
You're free, and
I'm free
enjoy the next chapter of your life. I will say,
of
of
my
course, if you're
departure
listening,
lounge.
yes, your departure lounge. And if you do like these and don't want to miss any of my episodes, then we do the please subscribe. I promise you, I'm not selling you anything
No,
in
please
any
do.
shape or form.
Then there.
And you take care.
I will. Thank you so much, Jill. Take care. See you.
Bye.